What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I am an editor over at the Koalition. That's with a K, coalition.com. Tonight, I'm joined by editor-in-chief Rich Bailey Jr. What's up, Rich?
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And throw down on Carlos Romero. What's up, Carlos?
Yo, what's going on?
What's going on? We're about to talk about a crap show. That's what's going on. All right, people. So, real quick housekeeping. Thanks again for all the follows, the subs on iTunes, on Spotify, of course, on YouTube, and just checking out the site. It's great. It's great that people are engaging and involved and just not just with our products, but just with the content, the show, The Walking Dead. Because this Tales of Walking Dead, this is trash. This is trash. But you know what? People are sticking with it. They got words, and we got words also. Because we knew stuff like this is going to happen. We've seen this with CSI. We've seen this with the NCIS, the Law and Order, all the long franchises that have multiple spinoffs. You get some duds, right? That happens. It happens. They throw some stuff at the wall and like, hey, you like this? Do you like New Orleans? And do you like this? Well, you don't. All right. All right. We got that. We'll cut this short. All right. And thankfully, at least with AMC, when it comes to these, they're not doing these long-winded seasons. They're doing little bites here and there. They are World Beyond. They told us right off the bat, 2 seasons. That's what they said. 2 seasons. Don't worry about it. And if things get better, which they didn't, then maybe we'll come back. Never did. And then, of course, with this one, Tales of Walking Dead, 6 episodes. They do a lot of big names. We talked about 4, Olivia Munn, Terry Crews. There's a bunch of them. But they said 6 episodes. And hopefully they stick to that because we don't need any more of this. We really don't. So real quick thanks to everybody that's been supporting us on those platforms. All right. And if you're new, just so you know, we will be doing a full spoiler review of the latest episode. This is for Tales of the Walking Dead, episode 5, Davon. So if you have not watched yet, you can go to AMC Plus right now. It's available up there and you could watch it. They have all the episodes a week early, or you could just wait till Sunday when it airs on the AMC proper. So without any further ado, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boop. What trash. I'm so tired of this series. Everything that they tried, besides that one episode with Alpha, just fell flat. None of this. Oh, man, it's just like I just keep going back to thinking of those old shows that tried to be like the Twilight Zone, like Tales from the Dark Side and all those type of things, where they just throw these weird stories at you, and maybe you'll find it interesting or maybe not. And I don't want to say Black Mirror because Black Mirror is on a whole other level and it's done correctly. I mean, that's all about tech and stuff. That they're on their own plane right there. That's special. But this is not. This is doing all kinds of weird things. And I wish that they had stuck with the way they advertised it, which was like, oh, these are tales of things going on within the time that we know. This is within that time period. But then episode 2 starts introducing the whole Groundhog Day thing going on, and repeating themselves and all this crazy. It doesn't flow, and it's upsetting. It's really upsetting. Because I was hoping for the best, and we didn't even get that. And we have a lot of talented actors that are involved in all these. Even this one had a lot of actors, maybe not household names, but you look and be like, oh, I'd seen her from Blue Bloods, and I've seen this guy from the South. They're TV actors, and they're busy. Yeah, the boy. There you go. So we've seen these people before, but then it's just the scripts are horrible. They're just horrible. Like this was just, oh man. I'm lost for words because I'm like, I don't want to just poo-poo the whole thing right off the bat and be like, yeah, thanks for tuning in. But you know what? We'll break it down why it was bad. So right off the bat, they're advertising this as like this noir thriller. There was nothing thrilling about this, and their noir attempt did not did not sit well. It just didn't deliver on that end. When I think of noir, and we talked about this off air, we think of like the crime dramas, that film period piece, 40s, 50s, maybe black and white. Maybe if they went down that road and made it real creepy, but they didn't. They have these weird cuts that were happening throughout the episode, these flashes, which are usually done in like a first person, so you can get an idea of what's going on from the perspective of the main character that we're following. But no, it's in third person. We're seeing things, and I'm like, well, why are you showing it in this perspective? And they're trying to throw some like eerie music in the background, which doesn't really stick well with me at all with any of this. It's like they're trying too hard to create a particular genre that just didn't work. Everything felt out of place and just too rushed. Maybe if they stretched it out, maybe if this was, thankfully it wasn't, but if it was like a two-parter, because there was a lot of questions, and hopefully everybody did watch this episode, besides the guys on the panel, but I mean, people listening, if you want to know exactly what happened, I mean, the gist of it is, right, when we start off, we got Davon. We are introduced with him, and he has a prosthetic leg, and he's hurt out in the woods. And there's a mother and daughter, older couple, mother and daughter type deal, not a little child. And they find him, they bring him in, they take him in, and he finds out that he's like, he thought he was like in France somewhere. Was it? No, not France, sorry, in Canada.
French Canada, yeah.
Yeah, French Canada. He thought he was like Montreal, I think he said, and that he had spent some time over there. But they were like, no, you're in Maine, but we're close to the border, so they speak French there, which I found interesting. So I'm like, oh, this is going to play a part to it, but it really didn't play any major part to it. I was like, what was the whole purpose? Was just so you can have everybody with a French Canadian accent? Was that the point of this?
Yeah, I didn't really like the way this episode was kind of set up and how it was structured. It would have been cool if we were able to see a little bit more of the relationship of Davon and the people and the French people kind of flesh out. The way they did it, it just seemed like we have to get through this so we can get to the the last portion of the episode. But this episode starts with the whole chase scene where he's getting chased, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And the first part where I'm like, what the hell are we doing, is when that walker is just talking. And I'm like, all right, how is talking, is not trying to kill him, is guiding him places. And I'm like, oh, here we go. What's gonna be the thing with this episode? Because every episode seems like they have their own little.
So like even that with that part with the chase was I thought that was like more of like they were doing a flashback, because eventually later on we see what happens with him. And I thought that's what they were getting at. We started off with him running, but do you think that's what led to him getting into that town?
No. Well, that one clearly shows that that was after he was already sort of rescued by that family.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, so but what happened before? That's the thing. I don't think they ever go into it.
Well, they showed it was kind of
it's through those weird flash cuts.
It was through those. Yeah, it's definitely all over the place. If we're gonna jump ahead,
go ahead.
Hears noises of a kid. I don't know if you remember he was screaming or asking for help, but he goes down to the basement. He finds the kid, and he finds the other kid, and then that's when the mom comes in, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And then the kid runs away, and then that's how it sets it off. They're fighting in the garage, and then they somehow get what's it called get cuffed together. So that's how they
but that's the issue. That was the issue. It's just the structure of this whole episode. It happened so fast, and they were throwing all these cuts, and I was like, all right, we get it. These people find you, and then this happens, and then he said he can't remember a lot of things. And long story short, which is supposed to be the meat and potatoes of this episode, is that he is now, the townsfolk said that they had some kids that were missing, and they assume that it's the new guy, the stranger, is the one who has either abducted them or killed these kids and stuff. So they're going to kill him. And he's like, I can't remember. And then we get these weird cuts, which are sort of flashbacks. And I'm thinking, well, oh, you're going to show us that he's blacking out and he really did do it. He is the monster and he's the dark passenger, that type of thing. But that's not what happens. That's not what happens here at all. And you just nailed it right there. The whole thing that was the mom, the woman that let him in, because then he escapes and he finds out that the mom, along with another boy, have been secretly kidnapping these kids and killing them. And it's all back to what was it? One of the early episodes. We say it in the ending with the two girls. I'm blanking on their names. I knew right before this, but the whole thing of when Rick Grimes' daughter, oh man, Judith, when she was a baby, remember the two sisters, and they were watching over, and then eventually when we find out that one of them wanted to kill the other one because she had just killed her sister, I said, no, I'm freeing her. She's gonna be fine. This is what needs to be done. And that was so crazy thing. And then of course she had to be put down, and that's where we get the famous line, look at the flowers. So I felt like that's what they were going with this, but on a higher level. But then it didn't even fit because that grandmother, she even kidnapped her own grandson, right? Because Nora was her her daughter. Right?
That part, I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just know that Nora has a kid, and the mom has the kid. What was it? The teenage boy. Was he adopted or something? I don't. It was all over the place. But my biggest issue with the whole story is just that it's like you mentioned. There's a whole bunch of cuts. It's like, oh, we're jumping here, jumping here, jumping here, jumping here, and that kind of sometimes works, but it has to be across a longer sort of narrative structure. You don't get to spend as much time with the characters to even feel anything for them. The mom, I'm like, I don't feel like she was just someone that said random things in different cuts and was the supporting mom. And then the one that they spent the most time with was Nora. And Nora, she was, what were they trying to make it a love interest? I had no clue what the hell they were trying to get with.
It sort of seemed like that when they were playing the piano and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't even go into that because the next cut after that, that's when we see that they're already trying to kill him. The town people were like, oh, what you did. And I was like, maybe he is blacking out. Maybe that's what's going on here. And it just didn't flow. It didn't have a flow at all. And then even at the end, when the town folk all show up and they see what happened here, and they was like, oh, we're not gonna, what was it? He didn't want to kill the guy. And he's like, no, you're gonna pay for this. You're gonna pay for what you did. And he's screaming this is Davon screaming at the town, you were gonna kill me. You see, you didn't care. You were gonna kill me. It's like, yeah, they were gonna kill you. What's your point? They were gonna kill you because you're the stranger. I mean, on the other hand, I could sort of see that. I mean, if anything, if there's no murders and no disappearance, and all of a sudden some dude shows up and everything bad is happening, at least question him. I get it. It's understandable. They went a little bit too far trying to kill him, and even when he said he could help, and then they were like, "Oh no, he's lying." Remember when he was trying to save himself? Mm-hmm. He's lying. I was like, really? I don't think. I think you would want to hear him out unless you found the body already.
Not even that. Just think about the way they try to kill him. His execution. It was get in a van and we're gonna. So, oh man, this
So I want to say a few quick things here. So first and foremost, my issues with this episode, I'm gonna get into some of that, but it felt as though they wanted this to be a period piece because I'm looking at the setting and the characters and what they're wearing, and I'm like, this is obviously not a present day. Even when when all this stuff happened initially with the apocalypse, people were not dressed like that. So clearly, that's what it was confusing for me because it's like the time period. It didn't make sense.
It looked like the set of Hocus Pocus too.
Yeah, it was. That's what I'm saying. It's like what were they? With the period piece, and then of course with the French accent, and saying, "Oh, we're here, and we're in Maine, and we're at the port." I was like, where are you going with this? And clearly, there's walkers. That's the only connection. with the whole thing. So that's why, yeah, I thought maybe same thing, period piece. It was like, but it doesn't. It didn't feel right with the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely didn't feel right. A lot of the effects that y'all mentioned, again, they wanted to get artsy and stuff like that with the exposure of the film and all this other stuff, which is fine because they wanted that to look a certain type of way, but it's very confusing in the context of the storyline. And my issue with The Walking Dead, with a lot of these episodes and then some of the other stuff that we've seen in the past, is that they have an issue telling a story. It's supposed to have a beginning, middle, and an end. But in the case of this story, a lot of things are jumbled around. So you have to basically rewatch to understand certain stuff. But for this particular story, there definitely were other ways they could have told it to make it a easier, simpler process. But again, I know they wanted to try to make it a mystery. It's a mystery vibe type of situation, and it did not work whatsoever.
It was very dark. It was very dark, meaning that just not the content, but just the filming. It's just like the dark exposure that they were putting on. Everything was dark, and I get it. Production, they're not as high as you would like, so you want to hide some of that. But man, some of these scenes, especially early on, were very dark. So you just sort of have to use your imagination, and it wasn't so much of, oh, they're trying to scare me, like where he's walking around and stuff, where he's running and what's happening in the woods. It wasn't doing it. It's a shame. It's a shame. I feel like a broken record with all these episodes. Like, wow, this is not good TV. This is not good Walking Dead. And it's funny. Every episode that comes just keeps pushing it. If there's like a meter, and here's World Beyond, because that's the all-time worst for again, I'm framing my all-time worst for the Walking Dead spinoffs, and it's like every episode this would just keep going higher and higher. Oh no, look at that! I mean, I don't know how they can save this whole series for me with episode 6. I don't know how. I don't know. It makes it seem like they're going to have some craziness go on, but you can never trust any of these, which is why I hate watching teaser trailers. I hate it. I hate it when I get them in the emails. It's like, oh, what? Nope. Somebody send me, or you send me something. Hey, look at it. Nope. Even with the Cobra Kai and stuff, I love Cobra Kai. It was hype. And you're like, oh, look, another teaser. I didn't watch. I think I screwed up. I did by accident because the iPhone, you can just click on. I did click, and next it just started the video, and that was the one with Johnny getting in his car and then doing that whole thing with where he's an Uber driver. And he's screwing things up, and he's like, hey, shut up, this is the favorite part of the song, and he's doing the whole thing, and that was funny. But I try to avoid it because sometimes that can be very misleading, and it can get you excited, and then when you see the final product, you're like, oh, what is this? Whoa. And for us to bitch, yes, we can bitch, but there's plenty of criticism that we could supply, just to talk about some of the things that could have fixed this up. So let's just go into that, because we know it's a bad episode. People that have watched this, that's probably why they're jumping in. It's like, hey, did they like it? No, we didn't like it, and I'm sure you didn't like it either. They could go ahead and comment about how bad it was. And this is my fear, and I'll put this in the comment. Do you think this is what we have to look forward to post The Walking Dead proper once it's over? Are these the type of spin-offs we're going to keep seeing on the regular? Like Fear the Walking Dead started off great. Even last season started off great. The mid-season break came back, and it just pooped the bed. It was horrible. I'm hoping that they learned from that. I don't know if they have. I haven't really. The ratings are all over the place when it comes to that show, so I can't really judge it on that. It's not like Walking Dead itself. People just watch it. They like Walking Dead. It's just one of the things in their life they need, especially on Sunday nights. So, but when it comes to the content, is this what we have to look forward to? Is this what it's going to be? Of plenty of these type of just poorly written, put together Walking Dead shows, where just pretty much weird shows just with zombies sprinkled in everywhere, so that way they can say it's Walking Dead.
So I want to mention one thing also. The zombies were there surrounding the bus, not doing anything. Somehow you got the village people yelling and screaming.
Oh yeah, they're not coming for them. They don't come
And
for them.
and somehow they're immune to maybe the zombies don't understand French. Could be that. I don't know what's going on. That the zombies are
Maybe
just
they put
tired.
maybe their outfits that we were talking about. Maybe they put some zombie guts on them. So then,
But they were. I mean, but the zombies. I mean, you can walk past the zombies if you're filled with guts. But once you start talking or once you make noise, then it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I like that. I like that theory. That's a very good question to ask, Carlos. I want to respond to this question that Adam said. Is this what we can look forward to? If the same people are involved, some of the people higher up,
Gimbal and all of them.
yes, Scott Gimple, if he is involved in any of these other shows, then yeah, you probably should be a little concerned because I know they're trying to do new things with these shows, but clearly it's not working. I think it has a lot to do with the stories they're trying to tell and the fact that you have these other characters that we don't have any emotional investment in any of these characters from one episode to the next. Why should we care about these characters? And in the case of this episode, I like the actor. He's very good on The Boys, but I did not care for his character. I was hoping he wouldn't make it out of the episode because that's just how I feel about some of these characters. It's not really that important. And they could do a better job of making you care about the character, but in this case, I didn't feel it in this episode.
Yeah, it's failing miserably when trying to do like a Tales from the Crypt or those type of creep show. We see where they're trying to go in that direction, and on paper, I'm sure it sounds great. I mean, the universe is there, the world build, it's there, it's already there. You have the sandbox, so just fill in the stories and just play around. You can do this. And so it sounds great on paper, but man, the delivery, these episodes have been horrible.
I think, yeah, I agree with the delivery. And I also think that the source material, they don't really do a lot of research into some stuff. And they just decide we're going to have our own unique spin on this situation. Because in the case of this, about the character that doesn't remember stuff and he's trying to remember, there are plenty of examples they can use of things that have been done to see how to do it correctly. Memento. That movie is a great example of how you would tell a story like this. So, but they don't pay attention to any of these details because they want to have their own little spin on it, and that doesn't make any kind of sense.
Carlos, you wanted to say something?
Pretty soon we're gonna, if this is the direction that this show is going on, we got to rename our podcast. I am done.
Oh. And I think we talked about in the last episode where Jeffrey Dean Morgan, we found out, is joining the boys.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, yeah.
Right, exactly. Right. He's like, maybe that was it. He met with this dude. He's like, yo, I think they got an open part. You should go try out. All right, let me go do it. Yo, I got the job. High five. We don't have to do this shit no more. No, but I have a feeling he's still going to stick with The Walking Dead, and that's a saving grace, right? That Isle of the Dead, but it's called something else now. I'm still calling it Isle of the Dead.
Dead City. Dead City.
I like Isle of the Dead better. Dead City doesn't flow off the tongue for me for some reason. But I have high hopes for that, mainly because it's really focusing on The Walking Dead with the walkers, which are now runners. So that's a new element. That's going to change everything when you don't have to have people just like stumble and twist an ankle and like, oh no, they're going to get me now. No, now you need to run. Yeah, and that's what I loved about that movie, 28 Days Later. That was an amazing film. Do you guys see it? You guys seen that one, right?
Oh, yeah.
28 Days Later, then they had 28 weeks. 28 weeks, man. That intro, if for those who have not seen, I'm sure it's on YouTube, just watch the first 2 minutes, the introduction, the first opening scenes. There's a few scenes. First opening scenes of that movie just blew my mind with all the craziness that happens so quick. It was, and it sets the tone for the rest of the movie. There's so many directions that they can go with The Walking Dead. Like this, look in my head right now. Like right now, all right, let's just say, since we're done with this review, if you didn't see it, it's garbage. If you did see it, you know it's garbage. There you go. But how would we fix this? How would we have told this story, Rich? let's say, boom, they're like, oh, all right, Rich, you think you know it all. How would you have told this story? Right
That's
now.
a weird question.
Yeah. All right, so then what about you, Carlos? We'll all get a turn. Keep thinking, Rich.
Well, I wouldn't want to tell this story.
Oh, there you go.
I feel like it. I'll go ahead, Rich.
Oh no, continue. I'll go after you.
I just want stories about people who are in the same scenario, the same world, the same universal contingency or continuity as the rest of The Walking Dead. I don't want this French Canadian speaking Maine people that apparently are immune to zombies and zombies that speak and point directions and wave and give you high fives and all this crap. And the time loop and the Groundhog Day and the you should have stayed in the freaking bunker if you were the bunker dude. All of that, except for obviously ironically enough, the only episode that contained a canon character or canon characters was the only good episode of the whole series. And that's because and that's because they did exactly what the spirit of the show should have been. This shouldn't have been. If you want to make a Twilight Zone, if you want to make an X-Files, if you want to make a Black Mirror, make that show. But don't just put The Walking Dead on it and think that people are going to be cool with it, because it's not even well executed to even be compared to those shows anymore, because they're just falling on their face with trying to mimic this kind of show. So for me, I just felt like it would have been cool. All these actors that they've shown have been good actors, so I don't really mind their performances, but it would have been better if you'd give them better material to act, because this is you can't even get attached to these characters because the gimmicks always steer away from trying to get related. No one has died in this show. None of the main characters have died. They all survive.
Except for Amy, she did not make it.
Which one's Amy?
She with Dr. Everett, the from the he's the only one that died. Dr. Everett should have died as well, but it is what it is.
She was the only one, and I guess the fact that the Groundhog episode, they died like 100 times, that makes him think that, we just, we killed our main characters 100 times technically. So that was
I was hoping that they had died and that this was the afterlife for them, that it was this constant loop, and that's one of the side effects of this whole thing.
That would have been a far better storyline. I agree. Mm-hmm. I just was going to say this real quick because I thought of a way that I would have improved it. First and foremost, let me clarify, though. I agree with Carlos. This is a story that I would not try to tell. But if I had to tell this story and AMC had a gun to my head, I personally would have made Nora the killer, because they had this whole thing in the episode where they played around. Is this a love interest of Davon? That's fine. But that would have been more interesting.
That was with the strawberries. The whole thing with the strawberries. Remember, he's like, "Oh,
yep.
you got me these strawberries." Oh, and then
exactly.
Well, and Rich, I do have to mention that was that built up that tension, that that relationship tension that was building up in this episode. It didn't lead up to anything because she didn't believe him from the beginning. The only reason she ever wanted him to even to survive was because there was a smidge of a possibility that her son was going to be alive, and he would have given details on her son. He didn't care about this dude. So, and then afterwards, when he saved this kid, she's like, she didn't do anything. They
still threw him in the pit. They still threw him in the pit.
Yeah,
the dude. Remember? That was
it. But I'm saying Davon and Nora.
Oh yeah.
There was no. He didn't even get a kiss or nothing. So it's like, what was all that about? And one thing I will add too, since you brought it up, because you brought up earlier in this episode about how they were executing how they were executing people with this, they get into a car and then they crush it. I just want to say the matter of convenience, how for the majority of the episode he doesn't remember, but all of a sudden when he's about to die, now I remember that there's a kid. There has to be a kid.
Well, that's what the dude was saying when he was screaming it out. And Nora was like, wait. He's like, no, he's just saying this. Of course he's going to now, like you said, guess what? I remember now. My dad, I left him in the bathroom. I locked him in there. Something stupid. No, but it was dumb. And that whole way of killing him, that made no sense, especially if you're going to go with this noir and this creepy little village out of nowhere. Really, this is how they deal with it? Let's go another way. Maybe like a walker pit or something, or sort of like what we saw in Fear, where they had the cage above it and then they slowly lower and just and they gobble them up. This was not. This didn't do it for me, even if he did die this way.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Man. So I'll just say mine real quick. With this one, what I would have done is two things. Either one, do a twist of a twist and find out, he really was the one that was doing it. He had these blackouts and he was a bad person. And it was one of those situations where he just would do something so horrific that he couldn't remember it. So this whole time we're feeling sympathy. We're like, no, it's not that. He's crying. Like you said, there's suspicion everywhere else with Nora and the mom and this and that. It's like, no, it can't be. And then they kill him. And then afterwards you find out that he did do it. Like with those weird cuts that they were throwing. Maybe right when he's about to die, when he's being crushed or whatever, he's like, no. And then you see those flashes. And then we see he did do it, and then he just becomes at peace with the fact that, wait a minute, I am a bad guy. I am pulling a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Boom. That would have been awesome if they did that way. Or if they, let's say he did still end up dying, and they're like, all right, everything is done. And then they're like, wait a minute, we find the kid. There's somebody else. The Nora goes and finds the other guy with the kid and the whole thing. And then they have the whole interaction. They see everything that he's been doing. And they're like, man, we killed that guy. Man, you made us kill this dude. Well, whatever. That's the way it is. That's also just very dark, because even at the end, he said, you were going to kill me. And no one said anything, because it was like, yeah, we were. I mean, whatever.
I just was going to say, I like both of those theories you said. And if it came to a situation where they had to execute the guy, when they found out who actually did it, they throw him in a pit. And instead of it being a random person in there, it's Davon as a zombie in there that kills him. Yeah, that would have made perfect sense too.
Yeah, there you go. No happy ending here. I was like, well, we're sorry we killed you, but hey, you can pay back. Go in there. But, all right, now you can jump on the dude that really did the killing. Oh man, but we didn't get that. We didn't get that. It's there's not a lot of thought. That's what it feels like. Not a lot of thought in these episodes. It's like, all right, let's put something together real quick. And it's not even about the budget. I know some people are like, well, you're expecting to. No. Great writing doesn't have to require a bunch of huge, but well, for the writer maybe, but for the set design and stuff, you could have done a lot with what they had here just to tell the story. And it feels like this is all what it's a movie that I keep blanking on that they had zombies in it, but it was just it was just like the backdrop. It was like, yeah, we're all living through this. Oh man, what's it called? It'll come to me later. But it was a famous book, and then they turned it into a movie, and then there was like the spinoff of like, oh, what if they threw zombies in it? And
Scooby-Doo in the Haunted Mansion.
No, it's like a period, and it's like they're trying to tell the same classic story, but there's zombies all around them. Ah, man, it sucks. It's blanking. When I remember it, I'll put it in the chat on YouTube. But was it crime? Not punishment. Anyway, the whole point is, I feel like they're just attaching zombies to all these stories just so they can brand it The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
But None of this, besides the D episode, everything else just feels like an afterthought of all of it. Like, oh yeah, the first episode, still, there is no dread, there's no real panic with these people. They were just regular people. Like, oh well, we should hit the fan, and this is how we live. Oh, you have a bunker? Oh, I have this thing here. Hey, let's go on a trip. Let's go find. Yeah, let's do that. No, no. If you've watched The Walking Dead proper, then everyone knows that it's constant dread and fear all the time. Not just about the walkers, but about your fellow man who has now just gone feral, and you can't trust anyone. Right? That's what we've learned from The Walking Dead. It's like every time they say, "Hey, we found some group of people," don't trust them. Rick Grimes with his 3 rules, right? The 3 questions that he always asks people. They have to be honest. It's the same thing, but we don't get that here. We don't get that with any of these. It's like even with the D one, it also didn't really go too far into that, and it's a shame. It's a shame. And again, I sound like a broken record, but I think we've all said this, is that we feel that this was, with all the casting of a lot of these known actors in these episodes and these stories that are not connected in any way, and they're all very different, is them throwing their spaghetti up on the wall to see what sticks. And if any of it sticks, then that'll be the next miniseries. Because then they'll be like, all right, well, there we go. We all had these ideas. You had an idea. Jimmy over there had an idea. Okay, let's see. We'll make an episode for each one of them, and then we'll see what happens. And production cost is low. Yeah, they have these name actors, but these aren't like breaking the bank type of actors, which is fine. So let's see what happens. But if the storytelling isn't there, it doesn't matter who you put in these roles. It's garbage. It doesn't flow. I want to see more of The Walking Dead that we love, which was a constant dread and fear in every episode. Anything could happen. Robert Kirkman, that was his goal with the comic. That's why main characters got killed off so fast and unexpected. There was no build-up. It was very rare. I mean, there was a certain character. I'm not going to spoil it because I'm sure that some people are like, well, I'm still reading it now. There's a certain character who does have a slow death, and everyone pays their tribute to, but that's a rarity. Because most of the time, it's just like, hey, I'm just walking down and he's dead. Oh my God, he was the main character for like 4 years, and now he's just like gone. And that's what people loved about The Walking Dead, the comic series. And then when it got turned into a show, a lot of people that read it were like, are they going to pull that off? Can TV watchers accept having key characters, long-term key characters, not just, oh, you met him in 30 minutes ago and now he's dead. Oh, no, we're talking seasons. Can they deal? And the answer is no, they can't deal, because we saw that with Glenn. They cannot deal when a beloved character dies. So maybe that's playing a major part with how these shows are being put together. That's like, to answer what you were discussing before, but like, hey, we haven't seen anybody die. Do they think they would get a backlash if they killed off Olivia Munn or Terry Crews in that one episode? What does it matter? If it's a one-off, what does it matter? Unless they have plans, or hopefully have plans, to continue on with their story. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if not, kill them all. Have them both die in some miserable. Have it where they killed that one lady in the bunker, and then, like you said, instead of leaving her, like they did, she bites one, and the other one's like, what are you going to do? I have nowhere else to go. And then, what about you? I can't find my husband guy. I mean, I screwed that up. Oh, well, all right, here we go. Chomp on me. Like was it on the Evil Dead movie with the not the Evil Dead, the Walking Dead, the Night of the Living Dead, with the boyfriend. He was like, I want brains. And then the girlfriend was like, all right. He was like, I just want a little bit. Can I just have a little bit? So he's like, okay. And she leans her head over so he can bite and stuff. Something like that. It's like, it's dark, it's twisted, it doesn't make much sense. But you know what? The world just fell apart. Everyone's miserable. And so this right here, it's like, okay, what happened at the end of this? Where does Devon go? I guess he just walks away. He just leaves, right? That's it. I don't know. We sort of screwed up. Don't worry about it. It was horrible. But there's so many things wrong with this, and I just hope that the writers, the showrunners, they just pick up on this. I don't know if they're listening to our show or other people's type of show. I mean, we know they do pay attention because we get their emails. They do pay attention, but how much of it actually goes back into the writing room and says, you know what, I got some ideas. Let's try to just stick to some of the original feel of The Walking Dead. Can we do that? Because it seems like they've veered so far off when it comes to these, and it's concerning. If this is it, if this is the 6 episodes, and we get this, and it's done, and that the City of the Dead comes out, and that goes a full 180, and they're running from these walkers, and there's people getting chomped on, and craziness is happening, then I'm all in. Then okay, I'm not stressing, but I'm just concerned because our beloved show is ending. We're going into the final part in over a month's time, right? That's it. It's coming in, and then we're done. And my fear is if this is the direction and they're like, hey, we're going to keep going in this direction, then everyone's just going to be like, you know what? We had a good run. That's a good run. I can keep watching those old shows. I'll tell my kids and then all this stuff. Yeah, I'm not watching any of this other one. This has changed channel. And then what happens? Everyone else starts doing that. And then the franchise, which seems like it could never end because there's so many possibilities within this universe here, just gets smaller, smaller, and smaller. And it's gone. And then we'll talk back in a few years. I'm like, yeah, remember when there was all these Walking Dead shows? Yeah, what happened? Oh, I know what happened. And that'll suck. We don't want that. We don't want that. I love this universe. There's so much going. Think about it. It's the world. This has infected the world. This wasn't just United States. This was the world. They can go. We're seeing that hopefully with Daryl and well, not the Carol, whatever the new show, but the Daryl. He's in Europe. He's going to Europe. So they're going to show us something in another location. They're going on location for this. So those type of things. Give us another view. Hell, go to Alaska, where it's just constant snow and dread people hiding in caves and craziness going on. And I don't know. There's so many directions you can go with this franchise, which is why I was like, oh man, possibilities are endless. Once it got picked, once Walking Dead first came on, I knew. I was like, forget it. We're gonna have this forever. They could never screw this up, and I was wrong because this is screwing up. So that was my rant. Go ahead, Rich. You got anything to say?
Oh no, I'm curious what else Carlos has to say because I'm pretty sure he has a couple other thoughts he wants to say about this episode. I agree with everything you had to say, though. I mean, I hopefully the future is bright for the franchise, but I do know that AMC it feels to me like they know that they don't have that many shows. They're trying to call these different shows now to see what sticks. But for Walking Dead, they really should focus on the core characters that people care about and make good stories and shows for those characters.
AMC needs a focus group. They need to start doing some focus groups.
Yeah.
I think if they did that, maybe that'll help out. If they start grabbing certain people that have been following or certain outlets and say, hey, listen, I mean, let's get involved in this. We're going to send you this. What do you think of these? It could be not full episodes, just treatments. Just send us the treatment ideas. Like, hey, look, out of these 4 ideas, read these, which one, and then just criticism, constructive criticism. What do you think would work? That's it. We're not trying to poo-poo the franchise. We want to see it succeed, but this is not going to work. This is just not pulling in the viewers, and it's not going to keep the long-term viewers in. This is not what they want.
I agree 100%.
All right, Carlos, you got anything to say before we head out?
Let's not let the door hit us on the way out of this series. I am glad that we are almost done with Tales of the Walking Dead. Unfortunately, even if they hit the landing, it still won't make this show any much better. Yeah, it's tough, man. It sucks because we want these episodes to be good. That's the reason why we're covering it, because we're fans of The Walking Dead, so we care about these types of shows and we want them to succeed. But if if they decided to make Tales of the Walking Dead Part 2, and you know, and when the ending is just as good as the rest of the season, then I don't know if that's something that we're going to be head over heels trying to cover, especially considering there's tons of other spin-offs. There's movies potentially. Who knows what else they're going to announce after the mainline series ends. So yeah, it hasn't been good, unfortunately. And this episode, you know, I guess it was too much to ask to get at least 2 good episodes this season. We've gotten one, and the last one, we'll see. We'll see what their gimmick is this time.
Yeah. All right, people. Well, that was it. This was our discussion and review for Tales of the Walking Dead, Season 1, Episode 5, Davon. So we have one more to go. That airs next week. So we will be back next week, and we'll cover that. And once that's done, it's Walking Dead proper, right? Coming in October.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
This is part 3 of the season, of the final season. I always forget.
Yeah. This is the third part, the third and final chapter part. Last, what's it, 8 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
I just do want to mention before we end the show, this is the first cough of the whole episode, and I just want to say that I'm proud.
Good, thank you. Yeah,
and that's the best part of covering the show.
Yeah. See, there you go. All right, people. So thanks again, and we will be back next week. So remember, there's plenty of other good Walking Dead stuff. So if you get upset, then just go ahead and watch one of the older episodes from Walking Dead proper. All right, and do a recap. Yeah, especially do a recap. That's the other thing. They're always doing these marathons on AMC Plus, and well, AMC Plus has everything, but the AMC itself, if you ever looking through, you'll find multiple days where they're just showing Walking Dead proper shows. So you could always tune in. That's always good to have in the background. All right, peoples. Talk to you next week, and look at the flowers.